Oh, this is going to be a good one. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. So today I'm excited to talk some more about the new upcoming Lord of the Rings MMORPG. Now, if you're watching this video, you may have already heard about this. This was actually first revealed back in 2018, but there wasn't a lot of fanfare. I think mainly because the company that revealed they were working on this game was a newly formed company. Like, not a lot of people knew anything about it. They hadn't made anything, but we've gotten more and more details and information, especially this summer when we learned about Amazon's involvement. Some more bits and pieces of information have come out that are kind of giving us a better picture of what this game is going to look like and maybe what we should expect from it. And today I just kind of want to go over everything I've compiled that we know about the game so far. So again, this was first originally revealed in 2018 by Athlon Games. Now they're a subsidiary company of Leo Technologies, who also owns Warframe developer Digital Extremes, and I want to touch on that point a little bit later in the video. Athlon Games revealed that they had signed a long-term licensing agreement with Middle-earth Enterprises in order to make a brand new Lord of the Rings game, specifically a new Lord of the Rings MMO. And then this summer in July, Amazon Game Studios came out to announce that they would be the ones co-developing the game in partnership with Athlon Games. Now this gave us, I guess, a better idea of what to expect in terms of an actual game, because Amazon has got a bunch of stuff in the works right at this very minute. Now what they're looking to do with the Lord of the Rings MMO is develop this engrossing new AAA experience. And this is kind of one of the biggest points for me personally, because there are very few new AAA MMOs. I'm always a fan of like brand new experiences and checking out new twists on the genre and exploring brand new spaces outside of just expansions for games that have been around for 15 years. So the idea of a new massive budget MMO being made, that's really exciting to me. We've got a whole bunch of Kickstarter crowdfunded MMOs that should be coming out in the next probably 1 to 5 years, but none of those really have the polish that you see with those big budget AAA games, and that's one of the things that I think is missing from the new MMO genre. But MMO talk aside, let's get back to the point of this video, which is the actual game itself. So the new Lord of the Rings game is going to be set in a time long before the events of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We'll be exploring lands, people, and creatures never seen before by fans of the Tolkien universe. So they're looking to show a new perspective of the Lord of the Rings franchise that we haven't seen in any of the games or the movies that have come out so far. They also say that they're going to be featuring lands, people, and creatures never seen before by fans. I already said that. Now, it was also announced that this is going to be a free-to-play game that's coming on PC and consoles. And that second part, I think, is one of the biggest points, because that tells us that the game is probably going to be more action combat focused versus tab targeting. You look at tab target games like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV, that's a very specific style of combat, whereas the action combat games lend themselves much better to the console player base. I mean, you get games that kind of do the mix hybrid like we had with the Elder Scrolls Online. I think they actually did a decent job of that, although combat in that game I never thought really felt fantastic. It tried to split the difference. And in fact, Amazon themselves, one of their new upcoming games, which is also coincidentally considered an MMO, they have an action type combat system in that game as well. So I would suspect that the Lord of the Rings game, because it's being focused on PC and consoles, likely leaning more towards that controller-friendly gameplay experience. Now, the game is being built on the Lumberyard engine. This is Amazon's game engine that is actually a spin-off of CryEngine. In fact, Lumberyard is what Amazon's using in the other games that they're developing at the moment. But we got some further details about their, I guess, direction with this game coming out of some job postings. So Amazon is currently looking for a couple of positions. One here, the senior game artist. We're seeking an art style for our game that is different at a glance from the games and movies that have come before us. Now again, this goes back to their mentioning of exploring new lands, people, and creatures. The characters in it probably aren't going to look like the games or the movies that we've already seen based on the Lord of the Rings. Another indication that they're looking to go in a direction that isn't the same as what we've already seen. So if you're a fan of the Lord of the Rings, it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting the same tales told over again. We'll be in that same world, just approaching it from a different direction. I want to talk now a bit about the people involved making this game, starting with Amazon Game Studios. As far as we can tell, they're really going to be the primary developer of the game. They are going to be working in partnership with Athlon Games, but I couldn't find anything that Athlon Games has made because they're actually a brand new studio that was founded in 2018. Now, if you go to their website, it currently features a map of Middle-earth, and that's it. There's not like a link to the games that they've worked on because they're like like a brand new publishing subsidiary of Leyou Technologies. So let's talk about Amazon Game Studios. It's been said that they've got numerous veteran developers working at the studio on these MMOs that have a history working on titles like EverQuest, Destiny, PlanetSide, and World of Warcraft. And now, as I've already mentioned in this video, they are actually currently working on an MMO at the moment. It's a sandbox survival game that goes by the name New World. I've heard some mixed things about it, but overall it seems like it could be an interesting game. I like the way it looks. The combat seemed decent enough, and they're looking to kind of, again, have a new direction on MMO. This isn't going to be a traditional MMO like Holy Trinity, dungeon diving, raids, and stuff like that. New World is taking a different approach with more of a focus on that sandbox and survival. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Lord of the Rings MMO that they'll be working on is more of the traditional Holy Trinity, dungeon diving, PvP, all the elements that we really expect when we think of MMORPG. Now, Amazon's also tied into Lord of the Rings as they have a TV series in the works. From my research, it looks like that's expected to launch at some point in 2021. However, they have said that the two projects are being developed separately and will be unrelated, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to try to capitalize on a reinvigorment of the IP. You know, once they come out with a TV show, lots of people are interested in Lord of the Rings again because there's a new Lord of the Rings thing out. They'll probably launch the game somewhere where that excitement is at its peak, I would assume. So I wouldn't be surprised if this Lord of the Rings MMO comes out within the first couple of seasons of the TV show. So maybe either in 2021 or a year later in 2022. So I'm really hopeful that next year we start to learn some more stuff about the game. Now, as I mentioned, Amazon's working with Athlon Games, and Athlon Games is a subsidiary of Leyou Technologies. So who are Leyou Technologies? They're a video game holding company that focuses primarily on free-to-play games for PC and console. They have 6 subsidiaries. Besides Athlon, they most notably own Digital Extremes, developer of the insanely popular Warframe that is considered to have one of the better existing free-to-play models on the market. Hopefully that means that the Lord of the Rings MMO will adopt some of those same systems that people consider good. I know people don't think Warframe is perfect. It's got some grindiness to it, and you know, people have the complaints with it, rightfully so. But looking at all the free-to-play games on the market, that is definitely considered one of the better ones when it comes to how they do their monetization. Now, for some final thoughts, I want to reiterate that I think that the market is in need of a big AAA MMO because we just don't see new ones of those. There are the existing ones, and they're all, you know, they have all their pros and cons and all that. I feel like we just don't see enough new AAA big budget MMOs, and I like when a new one of those comes out. They're always fun to jump into for the first time, to explore a brand new world, and I'd love to see more of that. You know, we do have all those crowd-funded MMOs. Those don't get me quite as excited as, for example, the launch of ESO did, or the launch of Warhammer Online, or the launch of EverQuest Next. Oh, no, wait, no. That one didn't work out, but yeah, I think that there's room for this AAA MMO experience. I think it's been a while since we've seen a new one of those done well. I'd like to see what they have to offer. I'm also interested to see what Amazon Game Studios ends up producing here, because they seem pretty serious about getting into gaming. They've got New World, they've got, I believe, a couple of competitive multiplayer games also being made, and then they're working on this, the Lord of the Rings MMO. So they're clearly going pretty hard in the gaming space, and they're really trying to make their presence known and leave a footprint. We'll see how good any of these games turn out to be, but I am hopeful. Their current MMO that we know about and we have gameplay and details on, it seems cool. Like, it's a pretty cool concept. I hope that that's something that they can really polish up and make into a really good experience. And on the plus side, again, Amazon Game Studios does have these experienced MMO developers that have worked on some pretty damn big popular MMOs in the past. So that is, again, another kind of positive check mark towards the likelihood of this game doing all right. Obviously, it's still really early on. We don't know a ton about this game, but hopefully some of this information that we have picked up over the past couple of years since it was officially announced in 2018, hopefully this gives us a better idea of what we might expect when this eventually does come out. I'm really hopeful, and I do think there's a pretty good chance that in 2020 we'll be getting some more details, maybe maybe like an official reveal of the name or some artwork, or hell, I'd love some gameplay footage at E3 or something. I think that'd be a perfect opportunity, honestly. As always, I remain hopeful that new games will be good. I've been let down plenty of times in the past, but I've also had some really positive experiences, and MMOs are still one of my favorite genres. And I hope this Lord of the Rings one's good. I don't know, we'll see.